All rise. Veuillez vous lever. The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'audience de la Cour pénale internationale est ouverte. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Good morning, everyone. Court officer, please call the case.
Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honors. Situation in the Republic of Uganda in the case of the prosecutor versus Dominic Ongwen, case reference ICC 0204-0115, and for the record, we are in open session.
Thank you. I ask for the appearances of the parties. Mr. Black for the prosecution first, please.
Good morning, Your Honors. Thank you very much. Colin Black for the Office of the Prosecutor, together with Adeshola Adeboyejo, Betty Holer, Skelzen Zanelli, and Colleen Gilg. Yasmina Soljanovic is following from her office, but will come in at the next break.
Thank you. I turn now to the representatives of the victims. Ms. Masida first.
Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honors. For the common legal representative team appearing today, Ms. Caroline Voltaire and myself, Paulina Masida.
And Mr. Mavira.
Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honors. James Maria for the LRVs. Unfortunately, Mr. Manoba is having connection difficulties, but they'll try to reconnect at the moment. Thank you.
Yeah, as you are perhaps aware of, we have given a couple of minutes to reconnect, but since it seems to be uncertain, I think we could not wait any longer, but we hope that the connection will soon be established. We turn now to the defense. Mr. Ayena, please.
Good morning, Mr. President and Your Honors. I'm Crispus Ayena Odongo for the defense. This morning I'm accompanied by Mr. Thomas Obof, Ms. Abigail, Mr. Kifude, and we shall be joined by Chief Acheleke Tako and Lyons from the United States online.
And you know that it's now the turn of the defense for their final submissions. And I give you the floor, or if you want to have the accused speak first, it's up to you, of course, how you arrange that.
Mr. President, I shall introduce. Mr. President and Your Honors, it is a pleasant duty to have to address you again on this important matter of sentencing. This morning, we are going to have three people making representations. Our client, Mr. Ongwen, is going to make a personal statement for about 1 hour, between 45 minutes to 1 hour, if he can sustain that, or even less. After that, Mr. Obof shall take the floor and will make some comments about some responses to what was said here yesterday by both the prosecution and the victims. And then I shall take over from there to the end. We should imagine it will not take much more than the hour allocated to us. We could be short of that time by at least 30 minutes. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
So we will see. So first, Mr. Ongwen wants to speak.
Mr. Ongwen.
Okay. So thank you very much for the moment. I address Mr. Ongwen directly now. Mr. Ongwen, you may speak. You may speak now. You may remain seated if you wish to do so. It's up to you. And you also may remove your mask if you wish to do so. It's also up to you. You have the floor.
First of all, thank you very much, Mr. President and Your Honors, for giving me this opportunity to address the court, this world court. This is an issue which affects me. If I wasn't here, there would be no issue. Firstly, Mr. President and Your Honors, during the proceedings, I was not feeling well. From the onset when I arrived here, I didn't consider myself human because what I was going through, the people in the detention center know what I was going through at that time, especially concerning my mental health. It was a surprise to many people. When I started getting assistance and I started meeting different doctors and experts, they started assessing me, and what they told me was that ever since they started attending to victims of trauma, they have never got anyone with such trauma that I have because of the extreme nature of my trauma at the time. I was given treatment. Even at the time that I was coming to the courtroom here, I kept telling people that I wasn't feeling fine, but no one accepted that. I heard some people also say that if Dominic does not want to come to the courtroom, we shall bring him by force. But considering all that took place, what I understood from some witnesses and whatever was said in this courtroom, I could have understood only about 40 to 60%. Rather, I understood 40%. I didn't understand 60% of what was said. Right now, I am able to address you and speak because I was undergoing EDMR treatment for the last 4 or so years, including other tablets. It was not an easy treatment. Sometimes it makes me hallucinate. It makes me see dead soldiers and brings back memories of the past. Sometimes I collapse and I am carried back to my room while sweating profusely. Sometimes I sweat like a whole basin of sweat. It wasn't easy, but I'm grateful to God that I was able to heal and the intensity reduced. I also got some training in the process. Let me now start with my abduction by the LRA. The LRA abducted me in the year 1987. I was on my way to school together with my peers at the time. They were much older than I was at that time. When we met the LRA, they asked us, and they told us that in northern Uganda, education does not help anymore. The most helpful thing is to hold a gun. They throw our books by the roadside, and they gave me a load to carry. At that time, I did not think I would be a soldier. I was going to school without knowing what career path I would take, but I knew I would finish education and help my parents and help my kinsmen. Unfortunately, it did not go as I'd expected when I finished school. Thirdly, the rules regarding escape and other rules while we were in the bush was disseminated to us. They taught us about the rules in the LRA, and up to now, if you go to LRA, it is still taking place. The first thing you are told is, do not escape. If you escape, the end result is death. At that time, when I was abducted, it was not the same as other abductions. At that time, if you are abducted, they can make you kill your own parents. It didn't happen to me, but people who killed my parents are different. Those who went with me after the abduction were different from those who killed my parents. But later, when they abducted other people, it started happening. They would make you kill your own parents so that you do not escape to come back home. There were many rules that were given, but that was one of them. Some of the rules concerned the life of the Holy Spirit movement, or life in the Holy Spirit movement. At that time, it was still called Holy Spirit movement. There were two older men who wanted to take us at that time. We were much younger. They had actually planned that we should escape together with them about midnight. We walked with them till morning. We continued walking until midday of the next day. And we realized that we were actually coming back to the same barrack of the Holy Spirit movement. When we arrived back, they told us, okay, there's no problem. At that time, there were two departments of technician and controller. If you escape, they would start doing a ritual with your name using water, and you would come back on your own to the defense where the LRA are based. They asked us, they started by asking me, Kadogo, why did you escape? I told them I was going to see my mother and father. Then they told us that your mother and father are no more. They were killed. I thought that they were actually deceiving me, but that was the truth. The commander who abducted me was called German Peck. He comes from Odek. They were the first people to go to the bush, and he was called German Peck. The commander who was asking me about escape was called Okot. He also comes from Odek. Then they told me no problem. Those who were older should be tied up, and they were tied up, they were hung on a tree. Then they gave us a very sharp knife. The two of us each were given a knife, and we were ordered to kill these people. I told them I had never killed in my life, and I had never seen a dead person. They told us, if you want to live, kill these people. They put up a fire, and then they put the machetes in the fire to heat up. My other colleague was much older than me, so they hit him with a machete, with a heated machete on his back. For me, I was beaten with a wire lock. They ordered us to slaughter these people with a knife, remove their intestines, and hang their intestines on the tree. Part of their intestines we were ordered to hang on our necks, and we were told to say this was an electric wire. We did all that. When they were hung up, of course, there was blood dripping from them. They brought food and we were ordered to eat beans. We sat where blood was dripping, and they put our plate of beans under the people who were dripping, the bodies that were dripping with blood, and the blood was dripping on those plates. They asked us to eat, but I refused. But they told us that is what we wanted to do. So we were forced to eat beans mixed with human blood. Even though I grew up in the bush, I know that in a Chole culture, humans are not eaten. I don't know if there are other tribes or clans that eat people, but in Acholi, human beings cannot be eaten. When I finished eating, I started feeling drowsy. I collapsed and I became unconscious. I vomited. At that time, for a whole year and 8 months, I could not eat meat. Every time I saw meat, I would vomit. Up to now, I do not like to eat meat. I prefer other sources. Even if I eat, I do not enjoy it because of what I went through. That is what happened in my first attempt to escape. It wasn't easy. The image of what we did as we slaughtered those people still comes to me. It appears I will go to my grave with that image in my mind. Whatever happens, I cannot forget that image. It is imprinted in my image now. Concerning abduction of children, the Holy Spirit movement and the LRA started abducting children. When they started abduction of children, I was the first victim of child abduction in northern Uganda. Joseph Kony and his soldiers started by abducting me. Today, I am before this international court with so many charges, and yet I am the first victim of child abduction. Other people came after me. Other children were abducted after me. When I reached there, they told me that the children who were being abducted to show their might, to show the might of God and the Holy Spirit. And indeed, what happened to me, especially the slaughtering of those people, I stayed. Then they took me to the home of Kony. I was a cook in Kony's homestead. He did not have any wife at the time, except there was a woman he had in the village who would come and visit. I remember a witness also said that that woman was raped to death. I have no idea who raped her, whether civilians or other soldiers. He started teaching me, he started telling me what is going on and giving me his personal bag to carry. He said that is the bag of might and magic, which makes him do a lot of things. I was taught many things while in the bush. They gave me a stone to go to the battlefield. That was the first time I was going to a battlefield. It was a small white stone, and at that time it was called a stone bomb. That stone, when you go with it, you open your palm and put the stone in your hand, and you start praying and praising God. And this stone would flash in different colors and fly off your hand. When I went with that stone, I did exactly what I was told, and indeed the stone flew off my hands, and it brought an image of the cross, like with the color of a rainbow, and it went off like a bomb. I was scared. It was the first time seeing such a magic. I can never forget that. Up to now, I remember it. When you're just told these things, you don't believe. But many people in Uganda know about this. But there were rules regarding those bombs. No one was allowed to talk about coin turning stones into bombs or coin doing magic with those stones. But for me, who is before this international court, I need to let the world know what took place. God knows I shouldn't tell lies. That was the first miracle I saw in the LRA. The sixth thing I want to talk about is the suffering I went through while I was in the LRA. If I compare with what other people have gone through, and some people talk about what they went through, it is not comparable to mine. What happened to me, I believe, did not even happen to Jesus Christ. Jesus, whom everybody adores and prays to, I believe I went through a lot more. For me, as Dominic, as a human, I'm not a servant of God. I'm not an appointed person of God. I am just a human. But I went through a lot. If it was like water, if the suffering I went through was like water, I wouldn't finish it. Among them, carrying extraordinarily heavy loads, walking very long distances, crossing large, deep rivers, hunger, thirst for a long time. I drank urine. There was no water. You would urinate and drink your own urine while we were in Sudan, climbing very high mountains, clearing very thick bush, the beatings, the imprisonment, the internal imprisonments, among other things. The most painful thing that happened to me is the injury that I got. I was shot 11 times in my life in the LRA. If you ask any soldier in this world, even those who fought in the World War, no one was shot 11 times with 11 bullets like me. Even if it was an elephant, these 11 bullets would have killed the elephant. But I am still alive. Why is this so? I asked an old man who was in the bush at that time. He was called Santo Alet. He was very familiar with Achole culture. I asked the old man, and he told me that in Achole culture, when you are in the army and you are innocent, you do not kill people unintentionally, and you don't do bad things, you will be in the army until you grow old. Indeed, other Achole people also concur with this old man. I'm sure now they are also approving what I am saying. But if you do bad things as a soldier, you will not be able to come home alive.
This is what the old man told me. Spirits, human spirits, are unforgiving. If you do something like this to people, it's unforgiving. I have been through many battles. I've fought so many battles, more than 1,000 battles. But some of my friends who perished, more than 25,000 people, people who were abducted, people's children who were abducted from northern Uganda, who died, who perished. If you ask, how come I managed to survive? How come I'm still alive up to this date? What's the meaning behind this? Why am I special? The wars and the battles that people say Dominic is a brave commander, Dominic is a fierce fighter, Dominic likes fighting. All the battles that I went to, when I went to battle, I went with the intention of being killed. I wanted a bullet to shoot me and kill me. Most of the battles I went for, I went with anger, I went with resentment. But for some reason, I did not get killed. I was unlucky I did not get killed. Some of my fellow members were killed, but I was unlucky not to get killed, and I was not very happy about that either. My seventh point. All these things resulted in despair in my life. I do not think that all these things that I passed through, all these things that I went through will ever make my life the same. All the things that I'm talking about, all the things that happened to my fellow children, these things were not easy. You had different witnesses. You had many witnesses who came here. There are some people who stayed in the LRA for 1 year. They came and told you of the experiences, the extremely bad experiences that they went through. Someone who was there for 2 years comes and explains the experiences that they went through. But how about me? I was in the bush for 27 years. So please believe me, because I'm also human. I bleed. I was also created by God. Those people were also human. My eighth point. My arrest and detention. Because I met Salim Saleh, I had some witnesses talking about this. I had this being discussed during the trial, but it seems as if there was no belief in what was being said. When I met Salim Saleh, it was things were extremely difficult for me. And at the time, I was planning to escape and go back home. At the time that I met Salim Saleh, but before that, previously, I had made several attempts, I had made several plans to escape. People that I killed, that wasn't the first time that I'd killed people, but I had, people had been killed or for attempting to escape. But all these times that I attempted to escape and did not get killed while other people got killed, it's a mystery to me. I don't know why that happened. I was injured. My knees were shot and shattered. When I was in the sick bay, I planned to send a commander to meet with government soldiers because I wanted to come back home. When we were there, Coyne sent a report. He sent a report to Oti Vincent and other commanders to come and find me and arrest me. But I believe that there were two things that happened. One, there was a phone call from civilians saying that I should go and be arrested. Maybe the other message came from the spirits. But there are two things that happened. One of my sisters who was with him, who was his wife, when she heard this, she started crying. And secondly, Kony himself said that, Selindi said that they should not kill any soldier. You know, in the LRA, they used to refer to me as Selindi's commander. Those of us who had witnessed miracles, we were referred to as Selindi's soldiers. So it was prohibited to kill me. I was taken from the sick bay and taken to where the convoy was. When we kept walking, my feet, my Wellington boots kept filling up with blood. They kept filling up with blood. Every time I walked, my shoes filled up with blood. They started calling me at the time Salim Saleh's commander. They kept on referring this to me until we went to the battle that happened in Pajule, the battle that they're alleging I'm responsible for. If you had seen me at the time, you would have actually, it was pitiful. It was a pitiful sight at the time. I was a very pitiful sight. I do not know why he came there. He wanted to, he came there for his own business purposes. I must stand before you and before God and speak the truth. I am a Christian. My father taught religion. My mother was a saved person, and all this information has been brought out in court. You are aware of it. I'm extremely religious. Even in the among the detainees, they know me. I'm very religious. They've given me 3 priests that I meet from time to time, and I pray with them. We have discussions about God, and I still do that up to now. It was extremely difficult for me at the time, the meeting with the government soldiers. Well, if you ask yourself at the time, Salim Saleh was my enemy. So maybe I had planned to go and get food. If your enemy plans to kill you, are you supposed to ask them to bring, can you make plans with your enemy who wants to kill you, who is planning to kill you on every occasion that they can to bring you food? Do you think that will happen? If you yourself do not have a plan to leave, do you think that person will do that for you?
On the
9th point, some of the things that I've heard and some of the things that I've read, they said that the LRA killed civilians because civilians did not support the LRA. Which civilians in northern Uganda did not provide support to the LRA? Even up to now, as I speak, there are some civilians who told me, do not escape. This particular civilian that I'm talking about, he's a cultural leader. There are also some civilians within the government that told me, don't come back home. If I die today, if I stay in detention, then this person is also partially responsible for this. If in the future I'm asked to reveal who this person is, I will reveal that person. I know that this person is scared at the moment. This person also came to court and gave testimony. He gave testimony so that I could be convicted and I could be put into prison because he was scared. But with the help of God, I will inform the Acholi people who this person is. You know, the war in northern Uganda was like a business for some people. Some of these people did not want the war to end. They wanted the war to continue. Let me tell you one thing. People who died in the bush were crying. They were crying because the supporters prohibited us from going back home. They would shoot us. People would be shot. People would come and they would cry, saying, I'm dying because there are actually people out there who are supporting this war. There was a lesson that Coin kept on talking about the obore leaf, which was the Olwedo leaf, which apparently was given to him by the cultural leaders. Apparently, he was told to keep fighting, and he told us that this obore leaf is the cause of our death. This obore leaf is what is causing us to perish. He would look at us with sadness and he would tell us that this is what is going to happen. There was a lot of support that civilians were giving. I'm not saying not all civilians in northern Uganda. There are some civilians in northern Uganda who were not supporting it. They did not know what was going on, but there were some civilians who were actually supporting this, and it resulted in the prolonged and protracted war in northern Uganda. If it wasn't merely because of Coin's Holy Spirit, I think people would have been able to witness this. But one of the things that resulted in this protracted war, Mr. President, Your Honors, is because of the support that the people were giving. There were some people who would go and train with the LRA, train how to bury landmines, to set up landmines, and these would explode, blow up cars, blow up people. Sometimes LRA would give them guns, and they would go and use these particular guns to kill people. They were not happy when the LRA left and went to the DRC. They were not happy when the LRC left and went to the Central African Republic. They were not happy about this. In addition to what I've just said, we will talk about the peace talks. The peace talks that was widely spoken about, we were the ones who were present. We were the ones who wanted the peace talks to happen. Some of these people came with blood on their hands. One of the reasons why I say this is because some of the things that they would say, some of the discussions they had with Coin would come back and relay that information to us. Even as I speak, the amount of phone calls that are being made to Coin in Congo is indescribable. Even when I had the Toraya phone, I would receive phone calls. They would tell me, please do not accept the peace talks. Continue with the fight. Because I suppose the way they looked at us, we were like chattel, something that could be sold, something that could be traded for whatever purposes they wanted. Some of the people who were on the side of northern Uganda who were doing these particular things were there. Any forgiveness that they are asking, I cannot actually ask everybody in northern Uganda for forgiveness when there were actually other people in northern Uganda who were corrupt, other people in northern Uganda who were encouraging this. How can I ask forgiveness from these people as well? How can I ask forgiveness from everybody? Even how will God look at that? How will the spirits, the traditional spirits or the cultural spirits see that when they were the ones who were actually encouraging us? These people who made these plans, these people who told Coin to go to the bush, who supported him, and the people who provided us and Coin with extreme support, and Coin himself, who abducted me. And me, as I am presently, if you are to ask among all these people, including myself, who is the worst perpetrator, you will find out that I'm the last on that list, because there are other people who did worse things than I did. With respect to escape, in 2002, I probably wouldn't have been here because there were 4 people who planned to escape. There was Tabule, there was Piero Livingstone, there was Okello Laworo, and myself, Dominic. Tabule was my brigade commander. Piero Livingstone was the commander of Gilva, and Tabule was in Senior. Okello Laworo was he was from Control Altar, and I was the battalion commander of Oka. When Tabule initiated this plan, saying all the commanders should start contacting each other, Tabule and Livingstone said, no, when we are supposed to contact each other, what we need to do is to get together and leave together with some of the Control Altar people that are under the leadership of Okello Laworo. He was a trusted person. There was this person that we contacted. He was a contacted person, a trusted person. He was a cultural leader, and they contacted him. Tabule and Livingstone called this person. The 2 of us did not say anything. They explained to this person the problems we have. Why are we killing fellow Acholis? Why are we killing fellow Ugandans? And we are fighting a war that has no purpose. How would you advise us? And the person asked us, my children, what exactly are you looking for? Why do you want to leave the bush? Look at you. You look good. You have wives in the bush. You have countries that are providing you with support. You have countries like Sudan that are providing you with support. You have ammunition. You have armory. You have guns that can shoot gunships. You have everything. What exactly do you want? What do you want? And he said, let me give you an example. Do you know what happened to a commander called Kilama Part 1? At the time, I did not know anything about Kilama Part 1. But at the time when Kilama Part 1 surrendered, do you know what happened to these people? They went to the president, and the president took his gun and said, Kilama, so you are unable to fight anymore. So he took out his pistol and started shooting these people on the heads. Tabule started crying. But Opiero Livingstone was braver. So he said, okay, if this is the situation, no problem. He told us that go and fight. Go fight and win, because I also want to be a minister. Tabule would not have gone to Tabule. Tabule is from Palabek. What was he looking for in Teso? He died in war. Opiero Livingstone also fought and died. He did not go back home. Okello Laworo, who is from Pajule, also fought and died. He did not go back home. Dominic, me from Amuru, I fought, but I'm still alive up to today. But so you ask yourself, why is it that of all these things, Ongwen always survives? What is Ongwen? Is he human or inhuman? So these are some of the questions that need to be asked. So, Mr. President, Your Honors, this is not a small matter. These things, the case that has been brought is extremely grave. Anybody from Uganda who has been, there's nobody in Uganda who has been charged with such grave matters. There is nobody in this world who has been charged for such a huge amount of counts as I have been charged. If you hear stories about things that happened to me from that time to today, all these things need to be analyzed. They need to be deeply analyzed. The 10th point, Mr. President, Your Honors, I did not have any capacity to stop the things that were happening. If God had given me the capacity to stop these things, Coin would not have gone to the bush. If God had given me the power to do these things, to prohibit certain things, the Acholi leaders that Coin is blaming and those people who supported this war would not have supported the war. If I was able to, people from northern Uganda, those who died in the bush, those who died at home, would not have died. If I was able to do that, my parents would have not been killed. If I had the capacity, I would have been educated, I would have finished my education, and I would have had, perhaps I would have been helping other people, maybe 2 or 3 other people. If I had the opportunity, the Acholi, the Langi, the Teso, and the Madi would not have had such complaints as stand today. If I was able to, I would have stopped the spirits. I don't know where those spirits from, whether they came from heaven, but I would have stopped those spirits from possessing Coin and prohibiting him from committing all these crimes. I would have stopped all these things. Mr. President, Your Honors, I would have stopped all these things. But because I was not able to, I did not have the capacity, I did not have the strength, all these things happened because I could not stop them. All these things happened in northern Uganda. I'm kind of surprised as well. When I came here, started watching TV and started seeing all the different things that happen around the world, I started actually becoming aware and asking myself, why are all these different organizations around the world fighting? I started asking myself these questions. And it's a total surprise for me that the world is such a huge world. It has different systems. All these things I was not aware of. There are different types of people. There are people who fight for people's human rights. There are people who do all these things. When the war started in northern Uganda, where was the world? Why wasn't the world paying attention? If they had been paying attention, all these would have not happened to me, Dominic Ongwen. Did these rules, the international rules protecting human rights, did they start in 2002 or 2005, the years that are being referred to? If rules exist protecting people, protecting everybody's human rights, including I, Dominic Ongwen, as a human, when did these rules, international rules, come into effect? I always ask myself these questions. Sometimes I talk to myself as a mad person, asking myself, when did these rules come into effect, but up to now, I do not know. I asked myself, people who protect other people, security people, why didn't they protect me too, so that I could not be abducted? If I had not been abducted, who would have come and stood in front of this court here today? My abduction, was it God's plan or was it a human plan? I always ask myself these questions, but I do not have any answers to these questions. I came to you, I came to the world and asked the world to heal me. I asked the world to help me. I asked the world to teach me. So I came out to the world. Because I had not heard about this. Maybe something to this effect has happened, but if there's anybody who knows that they have committed such numerous crimes, such a person cannot actually come out and surrender to the world. It's not possible. I can give you an example. There are some terrorists like Osama bin Laden and others. Have you ever heard of anybody who has surrendered to the world like I did? Do you think Coin will surrender just as I did? Because I know it wasn't my responsibility. I'm not the one who started all this. I was not the one who killed the animals. I was not the person who married these women. I'm not the one responsible for killing and finishing the tribe. The responsible person is there. I hear when people talk about escape, saying Dominic did not want to escape. If I did not want to escape, do you think I would be here right now? Do you think they'll be holding a trial against Dominic? Nobody went and captured me. Nobody. I came out personally. I came out myself because I knew that I come with clean hands. My life was also ruined. I came out to the world, asking the world to help me. When I came out, surrendered to the world just snatched me with the rope around my neck. I realized that I started asking myself, was it a good thing for me to come out, or would I have been better off staying in the bush? Was I born in the bush? But no, I was born at home, so I thought I should go back home. All these things should not be my responsibility. I came out to the world to ask for help, to ask for support. Right now, I'm getting a treatment, and this treatment is making me into a better human being. Right now, I'm able to speak to people. I'm able to speak to people in America, to speak to people in Europe, and to speak to people in other parts of the world. I never would have apprehended that this would have happened to me. I never would have thought I would have the opportunity to speak to any white person in this whole world. But today, I'm speaking to people. I understand their language. They do also understand my language, which is a miracle. I thank God, and I ask you to help me. In the future, I could be a better human being. All these things have exhausted me. All these things were on me. They totally exhausted me. If you look look at it. I left the bush. In the LRA, life is not good. If I think of the amounts of time that I sat down and laughed, had a very good guttural laugh, it's not possible. Because if you ask yourself, how many times was I able to laugh? Sometimes I wonder, how many times have I been able to laugh properly in this world? But sometimes I sit down and ask myself, but most times I just sit down and keep quiet. And people make assumptions that Dominic is a bad person, he's not social, he doesn't talk to people. But I'm always concerned about me. I'm always concerned about what is happening to me personally. I cannot always be happy. It's not possible. Even within the LRA, as a commander, that any of those the powers that you have as a commander are nothing. Because as far as Coin told us that he holds us in his hands. We are his. People in northern Uganda, he holds them in his hands. People in northern Uganda are his. The world is in his hands. Nobody stopped Coin. The government of Uganda did not stop Coin. Coin continued, did whatever he wanted to do. He mistreated us as much as he wanted to do. And he continued till he went to another country.
And Mr. President and Your Honors, this is not true. Coin has his own unique character. Even now, I stand here and witness that Coin is a person with different character, difficult to understand, and very difficult to work with. Coin has the spirits that you have heard were mentioned in this court, like Selinde, Who Are You, Jing Bricky, Bianca, Juma Oris, Debo, Owora, and many other spirits that were mentioned. If Coin is possessed with any of these spirits, he will speak any language that is spoken in this world. Any language he will speak. And you might think that his primary level education that he stopped in, you might think that he has had a much higher level of education than that, but it is because of that spirit. I do not know if these spirits were good spirits or bad spirits, but what I see and saw later on that these were bad spirits, because the spirit should not make people suffer. The spirit should not leave people with tears. But in my belief, I confirm that he has the spirits. Indeed, up until now, the world is looking for Coin, but they are defeated. How many people have been defeated? Even soldiers from America, soldiers from China, all combined to fight Coin. But it is just this one Coin who defeated them, has still eluded them. So, if Coin has defeated them, then what about me? Why can't I be helped? How can't I be taught so that I can regain my life and begin to lead a normal life? So indeed, I am here as a witness for what happened in northern Uganda. Everything that was brought against me, I am a witness before God and before the world. I am a witness to the things that happened in northern Uganda. And the spirits of everyone who died in northern Uganda. As I speak now, they have all lined behind me. That is why I have gone through several fights. I came out, I escaped them, I was able to come out, and I'm still alive. Otherwise, if it was not because of that, as I told you, people who have been killed can have serious impact on your life. So that means these spirits are behind me. In addition to that, Your Honors, the kind of things that happened in various households in northern Uganda, in Acholi land, in Lango, in Teso, and in Madi, some parts of Madi, all these problems that happened in these places, it is not that I do not feel remorseful about them. I do feel remorse. I am remorseful about them. As a person, as a human being, I feel about it. It has now happened in some households. They have really suffered in different places. There were camps, there were trading centers in northern Uganda. Went through these similar problems. In some cases were very serious, more serious than in other places. So what I can only say now, there is nothing else that I can do, that we can do. We need now to find a way to begin a new life, because the people who have been killed can never come back. The things that have been destroyed can never come back, including my own family also went through this same problem. The way my parents were killed, as I learned later on, was brutal. My other siblings who followed me, one was still suckling. Their parents were killed right in front of them as they were seeing. Until now, as I speak, those my siblings are not mentally okay. They have never got any treatment, but at least for me here, I'm better because I've got treatment. I believe if I had gone back home straight, by now I would be a madman. But luckily I am here. I was able to get this treatment, which I'm very happy about. But those people back home do not have this same treatment because they saw their parents killed right in front of them. And one of my young siblings was still a toddler who was breastfeeding, and his parents were killed. So how can I be happy for all these things that happened in northern Uganda? I am not happy about it. Now, one of my brother that at least was caretaking home, was taking responsibility at home, just last month, he committed suicide. And I also believe that that's part of the effect of what he went through. So what kind of happiness do I get about what happened? Even if some people say that I am happy about what happened, or whatever they say, that I do not want to apologize. When I returned, I apologized. I asked for forgiveness about what happened in northern Uganda. If you are someone who has killed someone, if you killed someone, if you are forced to kill someone, how can you fail to ask for forgiveness? I asked for forgiveness for people that I was ordered to kill. I asked for forgiveness for people that I was given to be my wife and I gave birth to. Those are the people that I ask for forgiveness for. But I cannot ask for forgiveness for the things that were brought against me, because I was not asked one by one on the issues that were brought against me. I cannot say that because the world is looking at me, the issues, the world court is looking at me, so I cannot accept things under fear. I cannot accept under fear, and I stand before God that I am speaking the truth. I have to speak the truth. And for some of the issues that were brought, if the world would accept, for example, if according to the Acholi tradition, if they say if there is tension between two sides, if you think there is something that has to be done, they would actually say, if you are not accepting, then you have to jump up or go through a traditional process to really confirm whether you have done that thing or not. So I really do confirm that of the issues that were brought against me, let's bring soldiers who have been trained in target shooting, and then we look and they put them, people who have been accused, and we tie these people on the pole, and then we put them on firing squad, and we see how many will be the bullets will shoot at. If you look at me, I might escape because I will not get that bullet shot at me. That means it will show that it was not me who planned. For example, the Pajule camp that has been mentioned here. That time I was in a serious condition. I was walking with a limp. My condition was very serious. If really people are serious, if people are not using other people's blood for whatever purpose they want, the issue of Pajule should not be brought on me. It is someone from Pajule who called Uti that, my brother, where are you? I heard that you're in to the north of Pajula. You come. I know you have some good soldiers. We know that there are some good girls who are here celebrating Uhuru. And this person told Uti that, we know that there are soldiers, but you come. But when you come, you should remember about me. And Uti responded and said, no problem, I am aware of that, I will come. It was that person from Pajule who called LRA. LRA was not even interested to go to Pajule, and God, I speak the truth, that God knows that I'm speaking the truth. Some of my lawyers actually also got some rumors of what happened. But no one wants to come up with this information, with this detail. So, myself, I was not even prepared to come and point a finger on someone. But since the court has now followed me, since the world has now followed me, yes, I'm also going to unearth them. I will pinpoint them out. What will the people do to those people? You, the person who called, and people were killed. Your people were killed. What will the community do? What will the world do? Will these people be taken to the courts? Will they be tried? Will they be forgiven? These questions I ask myself. And later on, the dawn will come, and the Acholi people will understand. If you allow me to tell this person to mention out this name, I will do that. But if you do not allow me, or if you don't want, yes, I will leave it. So, for that case, I should not be held as a scapegoat. And if you ask yourself, all the commanders of the LRA at that time, the brigade commanders, like the one of Trinco, all these commanders are there. And myself, I was a prisoner from a sick bay. I was a sick person. I'm also here. I was actually there in that meeting. I was under control. I was under protection because I was being referred to as Salim Saleh's commander. So what kind of power would I have to jump the rank because my rank at that time, I was only a major. But there were generals, there were brigade generals, there were major generals, there were colonels, there were lieutenant colonels. How many of them were there at that time? I didn't have any position at the time. So if you ask yourself, of all these commanders, and the person who called the LRA, and Joseph Kony and myself, Dominic Ongwen, of all these people, who killed people in Pajule, if you ask yourself? So, Mr. President and your honors, I am telling you this, but this is not a simple issue. It's a big issue. But if it was something that indeed you see and know that you did it, yes, then you can carry the burden. But if not, then the burden becomes too heavy that sometimes you can just fall down and collapse. The other issue is the anger of Joseph Kony on his own tribesmates. First of all, Kony said he is not happy about his own tribesmates, the Odek people, because the people of Odek are the ones who gave him the go-ahead to go to the bush. He went to the bush with all these people until when other actually elders blessed him and gave him the Olwedo leaves as a sign of blessing. And then later on, it is the people of Odek who turned against his own people, his own family. So for him, he's going to wash his hands, and once he has washed his hands, he will give that cup in which he washed his hand, he will give that cup to a commander called Ben Achelam. At that time, indeed, I was not in Uganda. I was not in Sudan. I was in Uganda, but what I'm telling you now is what I heard, I was told. So at that time, Kony appointed Ben Achelam from Control Alta to come to Senior Brigade as battalion commander of Oka. And with that appointment, he would begin that appointment with operation against the people of Odek. That is what happened because Kony was angry about his own tribesmate. And that is what happened. Ben Achelam was the one who went and led that attack, and even some witnesses mentioned this here. But it was not that myself, Ongwen, who sat on a chair and planned that go and do this, go and do this, go and do that. There is one problem which I have now realized that is about communication, because in LRA, whatever happens, even if it is your soldiers who conducted that operation, it has to be you to send. Even if the command came from Kony, it has to be you to send. Kony mentioned very clearly that he is going to swap all his commanders who are back at home, because he has now learned that most of his commanders want to leave him. So indeed, that is what happened. In addition to that, my request to you, Mr. President, and your honors, my request to you is one. If you mind about the sufferings that I have explained to you, all these things that I'm telling you are just summaries, brief, because there's not a lot of time. If you are mindful about the sufferings that I have gone through, then you should not take this judgment, this sentencing with a lot of anger I request you, I appeal to you that you should also be mindful of the sufferings I went through. I know that you've had a lot of evidence before this court, but of what happened, I am also remorseful. I feel bad for the things that have happened. The things that happened on me, on my family, were also grievous things. But there is no difference. I'm a person. My parents were also humans. Those other victims that these things happened to them are also humans. So we all went through the same grievous harm. So if indeed you mind about my suffering that I went through, then please look at it, because I also want to become free and lead a free life. Because since the LRA abducted me 27 years ago, I was already in jail. Then I came here 6 months, 6 years and 3 months. I am still in jail. Now, if you add all these years, almost 36 years, I am still in jail. Now, if you add another more years, then that will be beyond, it will not be proportionate to the kind of suffering. Even God would not give this kind of punishment. So my request, my appeal to you. And in addition to that, I am happy, I am free with about 100 steps. Because since I left the LRA, I feel I have left the jail, the prison. Since I left the LRA, I feel I have left the jail. Even now here, I don't feel like I am in prison. But when I was in LRA, that was the real prison. That was the real prison, the real jail, and a very difficult one. But at least I am happy, I'm here, more free, 100 times more free if I compare my life now with the life in the LRA. There is no jail in the world which is tougher than that of LRA. You've heard from the evidence here, from the witnesses, there is no happiness in the LRA. Then what about me, Dominic Ongwen, as a normal human being? Means that going through all this jail means that I am not happy about what happened. If I compare myself with other people, some people stayed for a short time and they came out. For them, I think they were lucky to get out earlier. So my request to you is that precisely. To add on to that, in my own observation, there were no detailed discussions on this issue. Or if it was there, then I would request that more detailed analysis of these issues should be done. Why did it start? How did it go? Which ways did it take? Why has it reached to the stage it has reached? This should have been analyzed in detail, and in my own, if it were for my own accord, this case would have gone for even 10 years, so that every issue which has been raised here would be analyzed, would be understood. I would be happy. I would be happy that even if this case had taken 10 years, but as long as people have been brought to discuss and analyze this in detail, people should be brought from LRA, people should be brought from TESO, from Lango, from Acholi, from Madi, former LRA, who would have come here so that a detailed understanding of what happened would be given to you. You would understand more details of what happened. And although it is now coming to end, but this would be the best thing that would have been done. On the issue of amnesty, which has been talked about, this amnesty was not just about only the LRA in the bush, because the government is not stupid. The government is aware of what was happening in northern Uganda. That is why they refer to as a blanket amnesty, not just for LRA only. For example, I told you that some people were doing dirty work. They were doing underhand work even more than the LRA who were in the bush. So the amnesty which was given, was it also given to everyone, including the civilians who were collaborators, apart from myself as Dominic? I am the only one who was not given amnesty. Why? Why? Maybe they wanted that the real truth should come out. Maybe that's what God wanted, that the real truth should come out. So, myself, since I have now come to you, to the world, I am like a messenger who has been sent to come and tell the truth about Kony and other issues that are at hand. But the issues about Kony is too heavy, too much. If I'm to narrate, I cannot finish. It probably needs a book to be published. I can do that, and some people can read about Kony and what happened in northern Uganda. That's what I can offer to do. Now, when I return to the issue of having wives in the bush, for example, the issue of witness P0226. This person was a person that I myself rescued from a commander called Abdallah. The wife of this commander would mistreat this person. Then I ordered that that person should be taken away from that commander. I took that person. I took care of her. She would not carry any load. She stayed until the time of the Operation Iron Fist. We went to Uganda, and this person stayed all along. All along our stay, she would tell me, teacher, this issue of ting-ting, forget about it. From today onwards, I am no longer a ting-ting. She would be telling, she would always be talking about it. She will be talking about it. So she stayed until at some point, one day, there was a fight and she was shot. When she was shot, the government rescued her and she was taken back home. So, in my own thinking, maybe it was because she was not happy. That's why she probably thought that she should come and talk about it, because I denied her or rejected her at that time. Then, witness P236. As for witness P236, this person, it was not me who abducted her. She had escaped from a commander called Bok Abodema. Because in the LRA, the rule is that you should take care of the wife or the person assigned to you. If you are not taking care of that person can be taken away from you. So this person left Commander Bok and came to me, told me that I do not want to go back to this other person. I want to stay with you. So this person, I also helped her when she was going to be killed while she was in Congo. I saved her life when she was going to be killed. Then P99. That person She was the one who chose me, selected me. She was a ting-ting in Koin's household. Koin wanted to turn her to be his wife, but she refused. So you look at this. If Koin, as ruthless as he is, even a wife can actually refuse him. Then this person rejected him, rejected his advance. Then Koin asked him, of all the officers that you see here, my officers, who do you want? This person chose me, that I want Dominic. I do not know why this person chose me. Then witness P235. This person also chose me, that she wants to stay with me.
Regarding P101, for her, she did not choose me, but Koin ordered Commander Book, and Book gave her to me. I did not abduct her. She did not choose me. That is not how it was. So, all these people whom I lived with them, I took care of them, and they gave evidence here. Even those people know. If I don't take care of them, or rather, if I did not take care of them, why are they waiting for me now? If I was as bad as portrayed, there are so many men in Uganda. I'm not the only one in Uganda. Why can't they get other men? Why are they waiting for me, since they have been made to paint me as a bad person? That means I took care of them. I was not violent to them. I did not subject them to forced sex or sexual slavery, like it has been said, because that is not there in the LRA. It is true the LRA abducts women and takes to the bush. There are also rules that regard the way women are given in the LRA. You should also woo the woman, even if you are given. They accepted to live with me. I took care of them. Some of them were witnesses here, but they came to see me in The Hague. Yeah. First, she wrote a letter expressing her unhappiness. I don't know whether the court saw that letter. She was expressing how she was expressing how she was sad and things that I have now refused her, since she was forced to give testimony, pinning him. When she came, she told me that they took photos of very nice houses in Gulu and told them that if you give evidence against Dominic, you will be given these houses and you will live a very good life. Even if Dominic does not come back, don't worry, this will be your property. Don't worry about him. Your children will be well taken care of. These houses will have been bought for you, and you should forget about Dominic. But they did not see anything coming. She apologized to me and told me that she was deceived to give testimony, and it was not right to be deceived. It was also not right for them to speak the way they spoke, because they know that I took care of them. That made me to conclude that all the witnesses who came did not give true evidence, because you take an oath in the court. That means some of them were giving evidence with the hope of benefiting after giving his testimony in the court. That is happening to many people in northern Uganda as well. They have no idea that everything you say, God is involved. As humans, sometimes only 80% trusts God. The few percentage of people who trust God, I'm among them, and I believe in God. I saw what God did to me. I went through a difficult time. A lot of miraculous things happened to me. I was actually attacked by 6 lions, but I survived. I talked to the lions, and the lions did not harm me. And I give thanks to God for what happened. If I was bad, those people could not be waiting for me now. Some people actually were already with new men, but when they heard that I was out of the bush, they separated with the men whom they were living with. If I was that bad, why do you separate with your current husband waiting for Dominic? That means I treated them well, not the way people are saying.
May I shortly, Mr. Ongwen? I think it would be time for a break, or would you want it to finish relatively soon? You have the time you want to have. That is clear. But
I can actually finish, but since it is required that we go for a break, we can go for a break.
No, I think we have a couple of minutes more. You may finish if you think you can finish in a couple of minutes. But I don't want to interrupt you and to stop you. You have the time to speak, to say what you want to say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Then please continue.
In addition to what I have said, Mr. President and Your Honors, on my own, I think God forgot me somehow. It seems I should have been born in a different planet, not in this planet. This planet is full of bad things, killings, lies, killings, politics, poverty. It seems I was not created for this planet. God must have forgotten. I am seeing a lot of things happening, and so much is going on in the world. I believe that I should have been in a different planet, but God already put me in this planet. That is why a lot of things has been happening to me, and I'm being blamed for whatever is going on. I am like the blind man in the community, or a deaf person in the community, because those people are mistreated in the community. They can make you stand on black hands if you are blind. They want you to be beaten by the hands. Since I am not seeing, I am not listening, I do not know what is going on. So it appears that the proceeding on me is like a proceeding on a mad person, a proceeding on a baby, or a proceeding on somebody who is non-existent or a dead person. Because I am almost like a dead person. I have been living like a dead person. I just started coming to life when I came here. Another thing is that Kony was trying his level best that they should start anew actually. That is why Kony was abducting women and girls, and also some men, because he wants to start anew actually, since he plans to finish the old actually. Kony abducted girls and women and started teaching them a different language, like that the language came from heaven, from the angels. But the language is very difficult. The only name I captured in that language is the brigade name. The names of the brigades that you've been hearing in this courtroom does not exist in any language in the world. I know the meaning of these names according to the language which was taught to us, or the name of the divisions. I know what they mean. Kony tried his level best to start a new race. Even if he is alone in that race, he would start that race alone. Indeed, Kony has children, close to 380 to 400 children. That is what I know about Kony. Mr. President and Your Honors, I am begging you. My suffering has made me drunk, as if I took marijuana mixed with the liquor. Most times I am unconscious. I have lost sleep. I don't know if people in detention center write their reports and you read. I do not sleep. I cannot distinguish between day and night because I am awake throughout. Sometimes I just take a nap of 30 minutes and that's enough for the day. Sometimes I sleep for 15 minutes and that is enough for the day. What brings that? Is it a health complication? Is it suffering? I believe it is intense suffering which I have gone through. It is as if I am high on marijuana and alcohol. Every time I get hallucinations, I hear gunshots, I hear people talking, I see dead bodies, people I killed, people I slaughtered, soldiers whom I shot. The image is stuck on my mind. I believe that image will not go anywhere until my death. I am about to finish my speech. I have one thing that I need to respond to what I heard yesterday. I heard Manoba speak about a message from victims, that person is a chief, the head of a clan. The issue of the clan or tribe. He said that if the Lamogi people or the Amoro people are supposed to pay for the crimes which have been committed, will the people of Lamogi manage to pay? Mr. President and Your Honors, do not involve my clan in this, because Kony, who started this war, people are talking about Kony, not his clan. For this matter, I think this is instigation of a war between clans and tribes like Acholi and Lango. We cannot involve the clan because people are living together, people are teaching the young children to know the good life, and I'm saying that whatever was said can instigate a war among clans. The way I see it, indeed things happened in northern Uganda, the entire northern Uganda up to South Sudan and Congo, and now to Central African Republic. Even in Central African Republic, it went up to Darfur and up to Chad. Other people went up to Cameroon, up to Nigeria. If we are to say compensation, they will ask, where is Kony from? They will say, Kony is from Africa, he's from East Africa, he's a Ugandan. In Uganda, he's from the north. In the north, which tribe is he? He is a Luo. And among the Luo, which Luo community does he come from? He comes from Acholi. And they will ask, which clan does he come from? And then they will say he's from Palaro of Odek. So, if they say that the people of Odek should pay for all the harm on the children of Uganda and to the different countries I have mentioned, how will they respond to it? How will people take it? How will they also feel? Because it is the people of Odek who abducted me, and they're the ones who made me to slaughter a human being. That's why I'm even feeling the way I'm feeling now. How will they respond to that? I know I am not well educated, but I think that is not a statement of a leader. The person who talked about the clan is not a statement from a leader. Indeed, things have happened in northern Uganda. People who have died are not coming back. People who have lost their lives are not coming back anymore. We should look for a way of improving lives instead. Your Honor, the way I think that statement is not good. If we start the issue of compensation, they should leave it. They should not involve the clan in it. Clans are not involved. The people of Amoro are not involved. The people of Lamogi are not involved. The people of Chorom are not involved. And my family is not involved. My children are not involved in this. My wives, my brothers are not involved in this case. This is my case. This is the case of Kony, which has been, for which I have been blamed. I am also begging the people of Uganda and the people of northern Uganda, they should now make me become a son of Odek, because people are forgetting where the real issue is. Whatever Kony has done has now been blamed on me. If they accept now, let them change my clan and they say, I am Joseph Kony, I am not Dominic. For me, I am now from Odek. It looks like people have forgotten about me. Lastly, Mr. President and Your Honors, the issue of rehabilitating life, rather the issue of saving people's lives. I saved so many lives. It's not like people say that I saved only a few lives or selected people. If we are to look at the total number of people whose lives I saved, it is well over 400 people. There are so many examples. When we were in Congo during the peace talks, when Kony ordered that those who came as delegates of the peace talks should all be killed, there were well over 250 people, including UN representatives, chiefs, and members of parliament from Uganda, Acholi chiefs, Lango chiefs, Teso chiefs, Madi chiefs, and chiefs from Bunyoro were also there, including government officials and representatives. There were people who were mediating the talks from South Sudan. Kony ordered that all of them should be killed. At that time, I felt like I was mad. That is why they said that Dominic sometimes refuses what Kony orders. I refused in Congo, and if this allegation was about what happened in Congo, I would accept. I accepted that Kony can kill me. That is when I heard Kony talk about trauma at that time. Kony and Odiambo, together with the Bok and his chief security called Otto Agweng, they planned and Otto Agweng was ordered. Luckily, I already had some power. I was the chief operation commander in Congo. When they told me that this is the order, these people should not go back, they should all be killed, I started asking them. I asked them, are you aware you are the one who invited the world for peace talks? If you kill all these people, how shall we be labeled? Won't we be labeled terrorists? Some of you are older, you went to school, you grew up with your parents, you know the law better than me. Then one of the commanders called Bok became rude and started shouting, calling me a child, saying that they're the ones who carried me as a child when we were crossing rivers, and you are the one now violating Kony's orders, that these people should be killed. What will they help you with? All these are government representatives. Even Ayena, who is here, would have been dead because he was among those ones who were supposed to be killed. I started knowing Ayena from there, that he was a lawyer. At that time, I thought Ayena was the only lawyer in the world. But when I came here, I found there are so many lawyers in the world. I actually thought Ayena was the only lawyer in the world. I discovered that there are so many lawyers. At that time, I told him, you start by killing me. And when other commanders saw what I was saying, people became divided. And some commanders were on my side. Kony saw that it was becoming difficult. He was afraid. Then he said, okay, you leave it now. That is why he was saying that Silindi is for Dominic, not for me, Kony. The people of Acholi know that thing. When they came to visit me here in The Hague, they asked me about that issue. And I told them what happened. If you ask yourself, didn't I save over 250 people? I did save their lives. I struggled. You cannot say that Dominic is a really bad person. Even if I am feeling sickly, I have intentions to save people's lives always. I think about people's lives also, and I spare their lives. The problem is that, Mr. President and Your Honors, with due respect, I did not get any training in the bush while I was growing up. As a child, when you are growing up, you are supposed to be trained. Whatever you learn gets stuck in your head. I grew up knowing that Kony was my life, and there was no one more powerful than Kony in this world. My entire life, I grew up with Kony, and he was then training me how to cross the water body. I'm not even sure I was 9 already at the time, because I was even being carried to cross the river. Kony was the one carrying me himself. Kony is actually a very good swimmer. Sometimes you see him swimming across a big river and as if he's just walking. He was the one who would carry me to cross the river. I was not taught about human rights law or respecting human rights. I did not get any training. I am begging the world, the international community to train me. If I am rehabilitated, I can become a good person and I can become someone who advocates for human rights. You might see me in TV advocating for human rights. Help me and rehabilitate me, train me. I wasn't trained. Indeed, I know how to use a weapon. I know how to fight, but that is the only thing that I was trained. I don't have much to say. Thank you very much, Mr. President and Your Honors. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and address the world so that the world can listen to me, can hear what I have to say. I thank the world for bringing me here. I am grateful that I am before this court as a witness for the international community. I have been in detention, but I feel that I am almost 100 steps towards freedom. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. We will have now a break until 12. I would ask Defense Mr. Ayena, Mr. Okhoff, to think about during the break if you can adjust what you want to say. It's up to you. I will not limit you, but Mr. Ongwen has told us a lot of things. You can discuss this amongst you. Break until 12.
All rise. Veuillez vous lever.